Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's been quite a while since I've done a video, about a month or so. Some life things have gotten in the way of consistently putting out a video. The cats were being loud. But I'm going to try to do a series of videos to keep sort of an idea thread going. And in this series of videos, I'm not sure how many they're going to be, I'm going to talk about how fish are tougher than we generally think, or that we generally give them credit for. And so in this video I want to talk about acclimation. So in regards to acclimation, we're mainly going to talk about obviously freshwater and saltwater, and they do differ quite drastically between the two. So to start off with freshwater, generally speaking, we don't acclimate fish in the sense that we do with saltwater. Typically we're just going to float the bag to get the temperature roughly the same, and then we're going to plop the fish into the water. So freshwater fish generally don't need too much acclimation. There are some more sensitive species of fish that maybe you would acclimatize, but generally speaking you're not going to use that much acclimatization. And in fact, with regard to temperature, I think it's still a good idea to float the bag for 10 minutes if you've got the time. But generally speaking, in my experience, freshwater fish, even if they're just dumped in without any temperature equalizing, they tend to do just fine. So in that sense, the fish are definitely tougher than we usually give them credit for. Now with salt water, we have to deal with the salinity or the salt content of the water. And a lot of fish stores that you might pick up your fish from are generally going to keep their salinity at a lower level than maybe what you're keeping your reef tank at. If you have just a fish only system, maybe you're also keeping it at a lower salinity. But if you're keeping a reef aquarium, it's usually going to be somewhere around 102.5 and 102.6. Whereas, for instance, the fish store I work for, we keep the salinity for the fish at 102.0. So it's a little bit lower than it is in the tank behind me, for instance. So in that case, you're preferably going to drip acclimate the fish. And that's going to involve just using a piece of airline and a little bit of a valve to regulate how fast the drip is. And I would caution against drip acclimating too slowly. So in general, I would say no longer than 45 minutes should be good, but preferably less than that. You can get it dripping at a pretty consistent rate, and then remove some of the water and let that salinity content build, preferably quick, because you want to reduce the amount of stress that the fish is under. And if you've had fish that are shipped by the mail or UPS or something, the water that they came in, there could be ammonia in that water, and as the temperature increases and as it gets exposed to oxygen, it's going to become more toxic very quickly. So the quicker you acclimatize the fish, the better for the fish. Get it ready and get it in the tank as soon as possible. And with that, you can also do what I refer to as a quick acclimatization, which is just taking a cup or something and grabbing the water directly out of the tank and pouring some into the bucket or whatever you're keeping the fish in every 5 or 10 minutes until the salinity is relatively close. So the other part of that is when you're acclimatizing the fish, the temperature, if you do it longer, the temperature in the bucket or whatever you're keeping it in is probably going to drift down compared to in the tank. But like I said, I don't feel like the fish are super sensitive to the temperature difference, but that is something to consider, and another reason to try to get the acclimatization done as quickly as you can. Now with that being said, in my experience working at a fish store, fish tend to handle salinity drops very well. So when we get a shipment of saltwater fish in, the supplier has the salinity more like I have it at 102.5, and in fact sometimes it's even drifted higher than that for whatever reason. And like I said, the salinity in the store is at 102.0, and we just drop the fish directly into the tanks, and that works fine. So again, fish are pretty tough, and they tend to adjust to salinity drops really well without any acclimatization at all. So just a quick note on some of the other critters that you might put in a saltwater tank. So this is going to involve snails and shrimp and urchins and things like that, hermit crabs. Each is a little different, and I have experience with most of them. So first of all, just to quickly touch on snails, I've added quite a few different types of snails into this tank, and I just dump them right in without any acclimatization, and they seem to do fine. So if you're concerned at all about it, do a quick acclimatization, do it really fast and get them in. But in my experience, if you just dump them in, they survive and they live and they're happy. Now with shrimp tend to be the most sensitive that I've experienced. So either going up in salinity or down in salinity, it's a very good idea to at least do a quick acclimatization, but preferably do a drip acclimation. Again, try not to make it too long, but get them within at least a point of the salinity that they're going to, and to ensure that they do in fact survive, because in my experience, shrimps, like the cleaner shrimp in this tank, tend to be more sensitive to the salinity changes than fish and snails. And likewise with that, it's probably going to be a good idea to do the same with your urchins. Hermit crabs, in my experience, are a lot like snails. They're pretty resilient, but again, if you're concerned, do a quick acclimatization and get them in as fast as you can. So again, just to recap this video and touch again on the theme of the upcoming videos, the fish and the critters that we keep in our aquariums are tougher than we give them credit for. Yes, in some cases you do want to get them accustomed to the water that they're going into, but again, you want to do it with speed and get it done as quickly as possible to reduce the stress on the animal and give them the best chance of survival, and not do it for prolonged periods of time, where in my opinion their chances of mortality increase the longer that you do it. So you shouldn't be acclimatizing something for hours, as I've seen some people do. Now, if you do that and you have success with it, everybody has a different way, but this is my opinion, is to just get them into their home as quickly as possible and as safely as possible. And the best way to do that is to acclimate them very quickly and with some speed and urgency. So I want to thank you for watching. In the upcoming videos I have planned, I want to touch on a few other things. I may do a video on how to acclimate a fish. I think I've been saying acclimatize, but it's just acclimate. How to acclimate a fish. So be on the lookout for that. This video wasn't necessarily about how to acclimate a fish, just more on general procedures of acclimating different types of things to the aquarium. I also want to do a video about oxygen and fish bags. Some fish stores put pure oxygen into the fish bag. I want to do some research on that and really try to uncover whether that is actually helpful in any way, because I have some concerns about that. So I do want to talk about that in a video. I also want to talk about high nitrate and whether that's a concern or for fish in your aquarium, what they can handle. So be on the lookout for that. And I also had jotted down about feeding your fish or not feeding them when you go on vacation. So be on the lookout for that. Again, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.